Okay, we're going to do a tutorial on how to make our terrariums for our Juneteenth and Pride event. You're going to want to start with a clean surface. So I have gotten a damp paper towel as well as a dry, and I am washing the surface of my globe off and then drying it. You can see that I've already attached one of my stencils to the side of my globe. We're going to start with the stencils. It's an etching process that we're going to begin with, so that then when we put the sand in, you'll be able to see it through the design. So I've put the Juneteenth emblem on one side. On the opposite, I'm going to put the AROG logo. So in order to apply the stencil, you're going to take off the white backing, leaving a clear sheet that has this blue design on it. So the white backing is going to separate. You can see that the blue stayed on the little clear piece. And you'll want to peel it away carefully, making sure that all of the pieces of the design stay. If any of your letters or pieces of the design stick to this white backing, take a card, like your badge or a credit card, and run it across the back of the white while it's still on there to push that piece on so that it all comes off like this one did. Then I'm going to center that, and I'm going to eyeball it on my globe. My goal is any part that is clear is what's going to etch. So I want that part to lay down pretty nice. The outside part that's blue, that isn't really gonna matter so much. That's really just to stop the etch from going over the sides too far. So I want my AROG logo to be pretty nice. Given that we're going on a circular design, you're not gonna be able to get it to be perfectly flat. So you just kind of do the best you can. And it's a fairly forgiving process. In the end, if you come out with a little piece that's lifted like this, you're gonna see that you'll be able to kind of flatten it out so that your circle doesn't look too distorted, and it's still gonna look good in the end. So I'm gonna get this, try to get as many of these little air pockets out of here as I can, and still have the outside of the design be somewhat a circle when I'm done. So I'm feeling okay enough about where I am with how it's laid down that I feel like I could take the white or the clear protective piece off. So I'm gonna lift this film, and I know that I'm gonna have to do a little bit of flattening. Now you're wanting to make sure that all of your little pieces, again, are sticking to the glass on here. And that looked good. So now that I've got that off, I can see that I want to go in and kind of flatten out this piece right here so that my etching compound doesn't get up under there and make my line not so clean. That looks pretty good. And then over here, I may have to just kind of mess with it just a little bit to get that to lay down. And I'm probably gonna have to pick one spot in the design that's gonna have a fold in it. You can see on the other side where the Juneteenth is that I chose a couple of areas that were going to have a little fold in it that I thought would be kind of forgiving with the design. And I'm gonna have to do probably something similar here. Okay, that looks good. And then here. So I'm gonna choose right there. And I can see that it's laying down pretty good right there by my A, so I feel pretty okay about that. I'm gonna have just this one little area right here that if I can flatten it out, that will prevent as much of that compound from getting under there as possible. And then this part, I may just have to kind of lift and relay it down. And there we go. Okay. So there, once I've got that laid down pretty good, I'm feeling pretty good about how that looks, I can apply my compound. So this compound, you don't want to get it on your skin, so be very careful. I've got it in this little jar. We're going to have little Q-tips for you to be able to put on there. And you're really just looking to get a thin layer, and you're going to put it in all of the parts that are clear. That blue edge is just to allow you to not have the overspray, to kind of keep your design contained. I'm going to try to be real careful right there. Maybe I'll try to just lay that down right before I go over it. There we go. Okay, and then once I get this on here on both of my designs, and if you are planning to do 2 designs, lay the designs down first before you put any etching compound on. Don't put the etching compound on and then try to lay your other design down. You kind of saw how I was working with it there, that you do want to be able to touch both sides of it as much as you can when you're laying the design down. So I've got the ROG design. Now let's do the Juneteenth. And with this etching compound, you're really just letting it sit on the design for 5 minutes, and it will etch the glass in that amount of time. And once your 5 minutes have passed, then you just rinse it out with water. So if you're working in the ROG Cafe, you can rinse it out in the sink that's over by the ping pong table. There. And that's probably the best spot there. So I can see my Q-tip is getting a little worked. Okay. This is looking good. All right, so I am to the end of putting the compound on. So now, making sure I got all of those little nooks and crannies. And yep, I think I do. Okay, so now I'm gonna start my 5-minute clock, and the magic of editing, I'll be coming back once that time is up. Okay. So 5 minutes have elapsed, and I rinsed my bowl under the water. And so I started taking my design off, and then decided I should do that on here so that you can see how it came out. So you can see where it has etched on there. It looks really cool. And you will have to kind of, these pieces are kind of sticky, but you can see how the glass has etched with the design. Looks very neat. And the little letters, so tiny. Thank you to Mallory for weeding all of these designs for us. I think she had some help too. On that, I think she said Amanda helped her. So thank you, you guys. That was a lot of hard work put in there. And then got our ROG. we go. So we can see the neat Juneteenth design and the Arag design. So I'm going to dry my bowl because now we're going to be adding the sand to it. So for my Juneteenth terrarium, I am choosing to use the colors that are in the simple Juneteenth flag. That's the red, black, yellow, and green. But I'm going to try to layer them in a way that I can add my succulent in there and have it be kind of supported. So bear with me. It's my first time trying to do this. So from here, I'm gonna leave this laying as flat as I possibly can, so as to not disturb the sand once I start. I think I will start for color. I kind of want to start with the green first, I think. So given I'm only using 4 colors, and I don't think I want to layer them multiple times, I'm gonna do a decent amount in mine. I want my plant to come out being probably slightly below the top or just barely peeking above. So on the Juneteenth, I think I'm gonna, after just 1 layer, I'm gonna try my plant in there and see if I think that it is ready to sit. So take your little succulent, and you may have to give it some squeezes. We'll see if it got in the container pretty good. I may need to assist it. There we go, getting out. So I'm gonna kind of eyeball mine and see if I think that that's tall enough. And I may want to do about halfway on my second layer before I put mine in. And if I get a little bit of the dirt off to the outside where it's gonna show, I'm gonna put it towards the middle so that it can maybe be hidden by my next layer. So after my green, I think I will go red. So I'm gonna do part of my red layer, and then I think I will do my succulent and do the other part of my red layer. So my goal is to try to keep the soil around the outside of my succulent. So I'm gonna try to place it in there. Oh, I like the height of that a lot. And then I have made this, or Joe made for me this incredibly fancy funnel that I'm going to use to try to help the steer the sand in the direction that I want it to go to help support my succulent. So help kind of guide the sand in around there. Okay, and I'm feeling like that's pretty good for my red layer. So then I'm gonna go black layer next. And so I'm gonna keep that around, and remember to stop your sand before you want it to end, because it's going to continue to go through. I'm going to be careful, my funnel is a little, there we go, shorter on one side. I don't want to end up pouring it right on my mat. Okay, I think that's pretty good for that layer. So then I'm gonna do my last layer is the yellow. Now, if you're doing the Pride terrarium, I have 8 more colors that you can choose from to do your Pride colors. And so then you're just gonna want your layers to be thinner of each color so that you can fit all of them. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about where this is, how this is coming out. So, all right, I feel like that's pretty good. Then we've got these cute little white rocks that you can put in there. For the top. And I wouldn't feel like you have to get sand all the way up to the top of your soil on the succulent, because you can have the sand in there or the rocks in there as your final layer, and they'll come up to the base of the succulent. So you're just gonna kind of oh, that's looking very cute. Okay, I'm gonna get off my little plant. All right. So there we go. I'm gonna try not to displace mine too much, but you can see the green, red, black, and yellow in there. And we've got the R-Dog on that side. So there we go. Use your creativity and make your beautiful terrariums. We would love if you would post a picture of them on Jostle when you're done. Show everybody your beautiful work. I and other members of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee will be around to answer questions. So if you get stuck, feel free to hit any of us up on Teams or stop by our desks, and we'll see what we can do to help. All right. Thank you.